Welcome to Third Church of Christ Scientist of New York City. Let's begin with singing hymn number 473 from the Gray Hymn Book. Father, Mother, God, all in all, reassuring me every day, you encourage me on my way. Father, Mother, God, all in all. Father, Mother, God, all in all, you protect me each step of the way. I am safe in love every day. Father, Mother, God, all in all. Number 473. I'll read from the Bible and from Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures by Mary Baker Eddy. The subject of this evening's readings is encouragement. The Bible. Be strong and of a good courage. Fear not, for the Lord thy God, he it is that doth go with thee. He will not fail thee nor forsake thee. Joshua. Now after the death of Moses, the servant of the Lord, it came to pass that the Lord spake unto Joshua, the son of Nun, Moses' minister, saying, Moses, my servant, is dead. Now therefore arise, go over this Jordan, thou and all this people, unto the land which I do give to them, even to the children of Israel. Every place that the sole of your foot shall tread upon, that have I given unto you, as I said unto Moses. From the wilderness and this Lebanon, even unto the great river, the river Euphrates, all the land of the Hittites, and unto the great sea toward the going down of the sun shall be your coast. There shall not any man be able to stand before thee all the days of thy life. As I was with Moses, so I will be with thee. I will not fail thee, nor forsake thee. Be strong and of a good courage, for unto this people shalt thou divide for an inheritance the land which I swear unto their fathers to give them. Only be thou strong and very courageous, that thou mayest observe to do according to all the law which Moses my servant commanded thee. Turn not from it to the right hand or to the left, that thou mayest prosper whithersoever thou goest. The book of the law shall not depart out of thy mouth, but thou shalt meditate therein day and night, that thou mayest observe to do according to all that is written therein. For then thou shalt make thy way prosperous, and then thou shalt have good success. Have not I commanded thee? Be strong and of a good courage. Be not afraid, neither be thou dismayed, for the Lord thy God is with thee whithersoever thou goest. 1 Chronicles. And David assembled all the princes of Israel, the princes of the tribes, and the captains of the companies that ministered to the king by course, and the captains over the thousands, and captains over the hundreds, and the stewards over all the substance and possession of the king, and of his sons, with the officers, and with the mighty men, and with all the valiant men unto Jerusalem. Then David the king stood up upon his feet and said, Hear me, my brethren and my people. As for me, I had in mine heart to build an house of rest for the ark of the covenant of the Lord, and for the footstool of our God, and had made ready for the building. But God said unto me, Thou shalt not build an house for my name, because thou hast been a man of war, and hast shed blood. Howbeit, the Lord God of Israel chose me before all the house of my father to be king over Israel forever, for he hath chosen Judah to be the ruler, and of the house of Judah, the house of my father, and among the sons of my father, he liked me to make me king over all Israel. And of all my sons, for the Lord hath given me many sons, he hath chosen Solomon, my son, to sit upon the throne of the kingdom of the Lord over Israel. And he said unto me, Solomon, thy son, he shall build my house and my courts, for I have chosen him to be my son, and I will be his father. Moreover, I will establish his kingdom forever, if he be constant to do my commandments and my judgments as it is this day. Now, therefore, in the sight of all Israel, the congregation of the Lord, and in the audience of our God, keep and seek for all the commandments of the Lord your God, that ye may possess this good land, and leave it for an inheritance for your children after you forever. And thou, Solomon, my son, know thou the God of thy father, and serve him with a perfect heart and with a willing mind. So the Lord, for the Lord searcheth all hearts, and understandeth all the imaginations of the thoughts. If thou seek him, he will be found of thee. But if thou forsake him, he will cast thee off forever. Take heed now, for the Lord hath chosen thee to build an house for the sanctuary. Be strong and do it. Then David gave to Solomon his son the pattern of the porch, and of the houses thereof, and of the treasures thereof, and of the upper chambers thereof, and of the inner parlors thereof, and of the place of the mercy seat, and the pattern of all that he had by the Spirit of the courts of the house of the Lord, and of all the chambers round about of the treasuries of the house of God, and of the treasuries of the dedicated things. And David said to Solomon his son, Be strong and of good courage, and do it. Fear not, nor be dismayed, for the Lord your God, even my God, will be with thee. He will not fail thee nor forsake thee until thou hast finished all the work for the service of the house of the Lord. Psalms. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? Though an host should encamp against me, my heart shall not fear. Though war should rise against me, in this will I be confident. One thing have I desired of the Lord, that will I seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord, and to inquire in his temple. For in the time of trouble he shall hide me in his pavilion. In the secret of his tabernacle shall he hide me. He shall set me up upon a rock. And now shall mine head be lifted up above mine enemies round about me. Therefore will I offer in his tabernacle sacrifices of joy. I will sing, yea, I will sing praises unto the Lord. Hear, O Lord, when I cry with my voice. Have mercy also upon me, and answer me. When thou saidst, Seek ye my face, my heart said unto thee, Thy face, Lord, will I seek. Teach me thy way, O Lord, and lead me in a plain path because of mine enemies. Deliver me not over unto the will of mine enemies, for false witnesses are risen up against me, and such as breathe out cruelty. I had fainted unless I had believed to see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Wait on the Lord. Be of good courage, and he shall strengthen thine heart. Wait, I say, on the Lord. Jeremiah. Now these are the words of the letter that Jeremiah the prophet sent from Jerusalem unto the residue of the elders, which were carried away captives, and to the priests, and to the prophets, and to all the people whom Nebuchadnezzar had carried away captive from Jerusalem to Babylon. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, unto all that are carried away captives, whom I have caused to be carried away from Jerusalem unto Babylon. Build ye houses, and dwell in them, and plant gardens, and eat the fruit of them, and seek the peace of the city whither I have caused you to be carried away captives, and pray unto the Lord for it. For in the peace thereof shall ye have peace. For thus saith the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, Let not your prophets and your diviners that be in the midst of you deceive you, neither hearken to your dreams which ye cause to be dreamed. For they prophesy falsely unto you in my name. I have not sent them, saith the Lord. For thus saith the Lord, that after 70 years be accomplished at Babylon, I will visit you, and perform my good word toward you, in causing you to return to this place. For I know the thoughts that I think toward you, saith the Lord, thoughts of peace and not of evil, to give you an expected end. Then shall ye call upon me, and ye shall go and pray unto me, and I will hearken unto you. And ye shall seek me and find me, when ye shall search for me with all your heart, and I will be found of you, saith the Lord. Matthew. Jesus went about all the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues, and preaching the gospel of the kingdom, and healing every sickness and every disease among the people. But when he saw the multitudes, he was moved with compassion on them, because they fainted and were scattered abroad as sheep having no shepherd. Then saith he unto his disciples, The harvest truly is plenteous, but the laborers are few. Pray ye therefore the Lord of the harvest, that he will send forth laborers into his harvest. John, I am the true vine, and my Father is the husbandman. Every branch in me that beareth not fruit, he taketh away, and every branch that beareth fruit, he purgeth it, that it may bring forth more fruit. Abide in me, and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself, except it abide in the vine, no more can ye, except ye abide in me. I am the vine, ye are the branches. He that abideth in me, and I in him, the same bringeth forth much fruit. For without me ye can do nothing. If ye abide in me, and my words abide in you, ye shall ask what ye will, and it shall be done unto you. Herein is my Father glorified, that ye bear much fruit. So shall ye be my disciples. As the Father hath loved me, so have I loved you. Continue ye in my love. If ye keep my commandments, ye shall abide in my love, even as I have kept my Father's commandments, and abide in his love. These things have I spoken unto you, that my joy might remain in you, and that your joy might be full. These things have I told you, that when the time shall come, ye may remember that I told you of them. And these things I said not unto you at the beginning, because I was with you, but now I go my way to him that sent me, and none of you asketh me, Whither goest thou? But because I have said these things unto you, sorrow hath filled your heart. Nevertheless, I tell you the truth. It is expedient for you that I go away, for if I go not away, the Comforter will not come unto you. But if I depart, I will send him unto you. And when he is come, he will reprove the world of sin, and of righteousness, and of judgment. I have yet many things to say unto you, but ye cannot bear them now. Howbeit, when he, the Spirit of truth, is come, he will guide you into all truth. For he shall not speak of himself, but whatsoever he shall hear, that shall he speak. And he will show you things to come. A little while, and ye shall not see me. And again, a little while, and ye shall see me, because I go to the Father. Now Jesus knew that they were desirous to ask him, and said unto them, Do ye inquire among yourselves, of that I said, A little while, and ye shall not see me, and again a little while, and ye shall see me? Hitherto have ye asked nothing in my name. Ask, and ye shall receive, that your joy may be full. These things have I spoken unto you in Proverbs, but the time cometh when I shall no more speak unto you in Proverbs, but I shall show you plainly of the Father. At that day ye shall ask in my name, and I say not unto you that I will pray the Father for you, for the Father himself loveth you, because ye have loved me, and have believed that I came out from God. I came forth from the Father, and am come into the world. Again, I leave the world, and go to the Father. His disciples said unto him, Lo, now speakest thou plainly, and speakest no proverb. Now are we sure that thou knowest all things, and needest not that any man should ask thee. By this we believe that thou camest forth from God. Jesus answereth them, These things I have spoken unto you, that in me ye might have peace. In the world ye shall have tribulation, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. And I'll also read correlative passages from the Christian Science textbook, Science and Health with Key to the Scriptures, by Mary Baker Eddy. Whatever inspires with wisdom, truth, or love, be it song, sermon, or science, blesses the human family with crumbs of comfort from Christ's table, feeding the hungry and giving living waters to the thirsty. If we would open their prison doors for the sick, we must first learn to bind up the brokenhearted. If we would heal by the Spirit, we must not hide the talent of spiritual healing under the napkin of its form, nor bury the morale of Christian Science in the grave clothes of its letter. The tender word and Christian encouragement of an invalid, pitiful patience with his fears, and the removal of them are better than hecatombs of gushing theories, stereotyped borrowed speeches, and the doling of arguments, which are but so many parodies on legitimate Christian Science, aflame with divine love. Give sick people credit for sometimes knowing more than their doctors. Always support their trust in the power of mind to sustain the body. Never tell the sick that they have more courage than strength. Tell them rather that their strength is in proportion to their courage. If you make the sick realize this great truism, there will be no reaction from overexertion or from excited conditions. Maintain the facts of Christian Science, that spirit is God and therefore cannot be sick, that what is termed matter cannot be sick, that all causation is mind acting through spiritual law. Then hold your ground with the unshaken understanding of truth and love, and you will win. When you silence the witness against your plea, you destroy the evidence, for the disease disappears. The evidence before the corporeal senses is not the science of immortal man. Explain audibly to your patients, as soon as they can bear it, the complete control which mind holds over the body. Show them how mortal mind seems to induce disease by certain fears and false conclusions, and how divine mind can cure by opposite thoughts. Give your patients an underlying understanding to support them and to shield them from the baneful effects of their own conclusions. Show them that the conquest over sickness as well as over sin depends on mentally destroying all belief in material pleasure or pain. Stick to the truth of being, in contradistinction to the error that life, substance, or intelligence can be in matter. Plead with an honest conviction of truth and a clear perception of the unchanging, unerring, and certain effect of divine science. Then, if your fidelity is half equal to the truth of your plea, you will heal the sick. It must be clear to you that sickness is no more the reality of being than is sin. This mortal dream of sickness, sin, and death should cease through Christian Science. Then one disease would be as readily destroyed as another. Whatever the belief is, if arguments are used to destroy it, the belief must be repudiated, and the negation must extend to the supposed disease and to whatever decides its type and symptoms. Truth is affirmative and confers harmony. All metaphysical logic is inspired by this simple rule of truth which governs all reality. by the truthful arguments you employ, and especially by the spirit of truth and love which you entertain, you will heal the sick. It requires courage to utter truth, for the higher truth lifts her voice, the louder will error scream until its inarticulate sound is forever silenced in oblivion. Clergymen occupying the watchtowers of the world should uplift the standard of truth. They should so raise their hearers spiritually that their listeners will love to grapple with a new right idea and broaden their concepts. Love of Christianity rather than love of popularity should stimulate clerical labor and progress. Truth should emanate from the pulpit, but never be strangled there. A special privilege is vested in the ministry. How shall it be used? Sacredly, in the interests of humanity, not of sect. Mankind will improve through science and Christianity. The necessity for uplifting the race is father to the fact that mind can do it, for mind can impart purity instead of impurity, strength instead of weakness, and health instead of disease. Truth is an alterative in the entire system and can make it every whit whole. Being is holiness, harmony, immortality. It is already proved that a knowledge of this, even in small degree, will uplift the physical and moral standard of mortals, will increase longevity, will purify and elevate character. Thus, progress will finally destroy all error and bring immortality to light. Love inspires, illumines, designates, and leads the way. Right motives give pinions to thought, and strength and freedom to speech and action. Let's pray together silently for a few moments, and then pray aloud together the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Let's sing hymn number 162. The words of this hymn are a poem by the discoverer and founder of Christian Science, Mary Baker Eddy, titled Satisfied. I'll read the entire poem. It matters not what be thy lot, so love doth guide. For storm or shine, pure peace is thine, whate'er betide. And of these stones or tyrants' thrones, God able is to raise up seed in thought and deed to faithful his. I, darkling sense, arise, go hence, Our God is good. False fears are foes. Truth tatters those when understood. Love looseth thee, and lifteth me ayont hate's thrall. There life is light, and wisdom might, and God is all. The centuries break, the earthbound wake, God's glorified. Who doth his will, his likeness still, is satisfied. Number 162. This church is a branch of the Mother Church, the First Church of Christ Scientist in Boston, Massachusetts. We hold Sunday services at 11 a.m. and Wednesday testimony meetings at 7:30 p.m. We also have services in Spanish, Sundays at 12 noon and Wednesdays at 5:30 p.m. All services are held in person and online, and all are welcome. Third Church offers Sunday school classes in person and online for children and teens. These free one-hour classes are available each Sunday. At Sunday school, students learn how much God loves them and cares for them. They also learn about the Bible characters and lessons and the healing power of prayer. For more information on times and classes, please send us an email, thirdchurch@thirdchurchnyc.com. Replays are available in English and Spanish on our website, thirdchurchnyc.com, of our Christmas Eve talk by Michael Muslin, CS, titled Being Drawn to the Christ. The talk features a journey through the Old Testament prophecies of the coming of the Christ. Replays are also available on our website, thirdchurchnyc.com, in English and Spanish, of a talk by Lona Ingerson, CS, titled The 23rd Psalm. Third Church of Christ Scientist, New York City, this church, and other Christian Science churches in New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut have sponsored a series of weekly Saturday morning inspirational radio talks in Spanish titled The Road to Christian Healing. The speakers are members of the Christian Science Board of Lectureship. Replays of each talk are available on our website, thirdchurchnyc.com, until January 31st of 2024. Our meeting is now open for all to share experiences of healing and spiritual insights that prove God's ever-presence and power in their lives. If you're listening by telephone and would like to speak, press *6 and wait until your line is unmuted. Please speak directly into the microphone of your phone. Your message will be easier to hear if you do not use the speaker function. If you're watching via Zoom, you can choose the raise your hand icon or unmute yourself and speak.
There's a passage in this week's lesson on sacrament from the textbook, and I think it's page 242. A very familiar passage to most of us about the adamant of error, self-will, self-justification, and self-love. And Mrs. Eddy says that is the law. This adamant is the law of sin and death. It wars against spirituality and is the law of sin and death. And so I always kind of, when I look at that, read it or study it, get a sense of kind of overwhelmed, because an adamant is something, a rock-like substance that doesn't yield very, very easily. But she says, let us dissolve with the universal solvent of love, capital L, meaning it's a synonym of God, the adamant of error. And so I started thinking about it, and I'm sure people have thought of this before many times. An ice cube is an adamant. It would seem it is solid. But how quickly it melts when it's taken out of its environment, you could say, how quickly the adamant of error could melt when we take our thought out of the environment of mortal mind, how quickly an ice cube melts when warm water is poured over it. So let us dissolve with the universal solvent of love's warmth and love's environment, the seeming adamant of error, self-will, self-love, self-will, self-justification, self-love. And earlier on that page, and included in this lesson, is the demand for repentance, spiritual baptism, and regeneration. And I thought, well, baptism, Mrs. Eddy defines as submergence in spirit. And when one learns how to swim, the first thing he learns, I think, this is still true, is how to float. And I remember the gym teachers constantly saying, just stop. Just allow the water to hold you up. You don't have to hold yourself up. I became a rather good floater. I never really enjoyed the water, but I became a good floater. And it's the principle that the water will hold you up if you let go. So that spiritual baptism, that submerges in the spirit, takes away the need for self-control and gives the control to God. Repentance in old theology seems to be hair shirt and the mea culpas, and certainly sorrow and hard work is often necessary for repentance. But it is essentially a rethinking, a reconceiving, an exchange of material belief, of the belief of personal sense for the sense of God's reality, of God's immortality. Similarly, regeneration, well, what does that mean? It's just an exchange, mental exchange, for the genetic and environmental determinism that would seem to govern all of humanity, for the generation that Mary experienced when she listened to the angel. And even though she was afraid and shocked and astonished, as well she should have been, she obeyed, and she brought forth Jesus by spiritual generation. So I'm glad that when we sit down and really look at the lesson and ask God to let us know what we need to know on a particular day or a particular week, that love does inspire, illumine, designate, and lead the way. Thank you for your reading.
Thank you.
I'm really grateful to be here. And thank you for the beautiful readings, which reminds me some of the unknown facts. Like in the beginning, when I don't know about the Christian Science, but I was introduced through one of the friends. The concept of understanding or understanding the illustrations and examples, whatever. Now, simple what you read it, the house of Israel and the house of Judah. I was really, I was not, did not know about that. So I was thinking just, the same. But whatever, the wonderful story of Moses, and after his, passing away, Jesus anointed or called Joshua, son of Nun, to lead the generation of Israel. That was a wonderful concept of. But I thank you very much. The readings certainly which brings me a sense of comfort, sense of upliftment. The word which reminds me, purification of sense and self is a proof of progress. Yes, it is certainly the mortal mind deviates. The mortal mind needs to be corrected. And the spiritual illumination which brings to humanity, it requires great dedication. It requires understanding spiritually the Word of God. Correct the material beneath the spiritual understanding. And that is the wonderful concept. I'm so grateful and wonderful, the readings that abide in me. And, what Jesus was preaching about, so that I can abide in you. That is identifying yourself, your understanding the Christliness in your consciousness and progressing. I'm so grateful that, it's a wonderful selection of the hymnals. I like the Mrs. Eddy's poems, 162. There it lifts my consciousness. Love loseth thee and lifteth me, etc. That's a wonderful concept of, even though because in the mortal mind, certainly, it tends towards error. But understanding the truth, the spiritual illumination, that lifts us, that clarifies, and that destroys the unrest or the errors of this false, presentation of the words. Whatever you take it from, word involving yourself. So that Christianity can certainly clears and uplifts and gives that way of understanding to lead us into eternity. I'm very grateful for this wonderful readings, and thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you for your The lesson this week has a wonderful, something came to light to me. It was that section in which Jesus talks to his disciples, and he said, well, you know that the kings of the Gentiles exercise power over them, and they must obey. And he said, and this was after a couple of disciples said, well, we'd like to sit one on your right hand and one on your left hand. They wanted to be, right up there with Jesus in the kingdom of heaven. And it was sort of ambition. They wanted to advance, competitive. And made the other disciples or apostles angry with them, Jesus talked to them and said, well, he challenged whether they were worthy. Can you drink the cup that I have to drink and eat the bread that I've got to eat? And they say, oh, yes. And he says, well, you'll certainly have these challenges. You'll have to drink the cup. But he refused their request and said, that's not mine to give. That was sort of the backdrop. And then he talked to them about the kings of the Gentiles that would exercise control over them. He said, if you want to be a leader, you will not, you will be a servant. You're going to have to serve the others. And also, if you want to be chief, you have to minister. I don't know if I'm getting that in the right order, but the sense was, look, you're not going to have power to lord it over the other Christians, the other followers of God. You're going to serve them. You're going to lead by serving and ministering. And the lesson sort of has this theme about ministering. It was so timely in this year of choosing leaders in the United States that what's the concept of those that would run for office? Is it to be Lord and Master, or is it to be a servant, to serve the people? The wonderful thing about the U.S. Constitution and the democracy that we have is that it's a government by the people and for the people, and that the purpose of the government is to serve the people, to express what the majority values the most, and to serve. Mrs. Eddy talks about the pride of priesthood as the prince of this world, and to be ambitious and to be the top dog in the church. That really is not what it's about. It's to serve. And Paul has these wonderful passages about we're all one body, that different people have different offices, different responsibilities, evangelists, apostles, ministers, and he said, but we all move in this one body, and that sense of unity and community, and loving one another, and serving one another, each according to his ability and each according to his need. Of course, that sounds a little Marxian, but it's still a very high goal for community service. I had a wonderful teacher in high school, and she brought out the great books, and we learned of Aristotle, and he discussed what's the only motive for wanting to lead, and it's really a sense that other people couldn't do it as well. That was the right motive for saying, well, I'd like to do this because I think I can do it better, and that was a good principle, a very old principle. But the idea of working together, serving one another, we sang, it matters not what be thy lot, so love doth guide. Well, that's the principle that guides us. I like very much the lesson this week and the idea of our sacrament. How do we cleanse ourselves? Sacrament used to be a way of a dedication, or there were various sacraments in the classic church. There was the sacrament of the baptism and the sacrament of the Eucharist, the sacrament of the priest being a priest, the sacrament. There's various sacraments. But the essence of it is as dedication and purification and being ready to serve, better serve. I loved the lesson this week, and thank you for the readings. It was very encouraging. You were the one that brought out to me the word comfort. Comfort sounds like, being soft and gentle and nurturing and but comfort means to give strength. And we give strength by having this sense of God's love and closeness, and it gives us courage to do what we think is right. And I appreciate that.
Thank you.
No, your subject tonight reminded me of a testimony that I heard in this church many years ago. And it's funny how testimonies over the years can stay with you, and I just like to. I'm sure if the person was here tonight, he wouldn't mind me giving his testimony. But he was suffering. I guess it was the flu season, and he was coming down with the symptoms of the flu, and he walked into this supermarket in Manhattan here, and he looked down the aisle, and he saw were just rows and rows and cans of containers that said flu, 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 all down the aisle. And the last thing in the world he ever needed to see when he's trying to rise above this belief of flu. So as he walked down the aisle, he took a second look at the cans, and it didn't say flu, it said fluff. And the humor of it broke the mesmerism. He realized that there was nothing to it. There's nothing to disease. Talk about discouragement. He was discouraged. But he realized this was just fluff, the whole belief of flu. And it broke the mesmerism, and he was instantaneously healed. That testimony has stayed with me over the years, and I just love it. So I just wanted to share it tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you again for giving me opportunity. I just forgot a couple of things which our former friend who mentioned about the ice cubes. Very long time back, I forgot, but I'm sure it is in the prose works. The ice cubes were flowing, that's in the African countries somewhere. And people who have not seen this ice, it was flowing from the down. The ice cube flowed, in a big way, and the people who saw that ice cubes were very surprised. It was a great miracle for them. So what I mean is, I'm very grateful. Even though I was born and brought up in the Christian family, I did not know about Christian Science, but when it was introduced to me, when I understood the wonderful concept of Christian Science, it was the same experience like this. When people saw the ice cubes flowing in a river, And people who did not see those ice slabs or whatever, I think it was mentioned in the prose work somewhere, I forgot. But people were cherished and people were surprised. I mean, it was like a miracle for them. So I'm grateful. Same experience when I understood the concept of Christian Science explanation and the readings, whatever it presents, that is wonderful to me. And also, our friend mentioned about the baptism of spirit. In the prose works, it is very well explained in the prose works. Baptism of spirit, your consciousness must baptize your consciousness with the Spirit. The concept of understanding not by just, a baptism of water or whatever as a traditional, but it requires the human consciousness must have the baptism or, to be baptized in the Spirit. So that concept thank you very much again.
And thank you all for your testimonies and your prayers and your support and your presence at this meeting. Let's conclude with singing number 354. 354. 'Tis God the Spirit leads in paths before unknown. The work to be performed is ours. The strength is all his own. Number 354.